Okay, today headed back to the garage. Can actually work on the 240. Got an open drift coming up this next Sunday, so I'm going to make a few tweaks to the alignment. I'm going to do a little more toe in on the rear, and also readjust my caster, because when I set it I had 18s up front, and now I have 17, so I think I can get a few more degrees without getting to the front bumper. So those are the changes I'm going to be making today. Probably not going to have too much time to film the whole process, but if you guys do like this, let me know in the comments below if you want to see a more in-depth how-to, like a detailed DIY for the string alignment process I'm about to do. Okay, so I decided not to change the front caster settings after reading my old notes, because it's sitting at around like 9.5 degrees, which is plenty. So I'm going to be leaving that alone. But one thing I'm going to do is, now that I notice, is flip these tires around, because I've got quite a bit of wear going on the inside edges compared to the outside. So if I take this tire from this side and move it to that side, and this one to here, the wear patterns will be opposite, so I can get a few more events out of them. I am still planning on doing the rear toe settings, getting a little more toe in the rear, get a little more forward bite out of it. But before I can do that, I got to put it up on blocks and create these little slip plates with those linoleum tiles there. So you'll see that happen right now. One more thing to keep in mind when doing this is when you jack up one side of a car, the other side is going to roll in that direction. So when I jacked up the rear, it pulled the front back. So you need to do this slowly and pay attention and make sure that you don't accidentally slip off your block. And also remember that the car is on greased slip plates right now. So I suggest putting some old wheels under it, or jack stands if you can fit them, before you do anything underneath the car, because if it gets bumped or jarred, or if you're not on level ground, it could potentially slip off and cause some serious injury. I've already done this before, so I know that my ground is not level, which is why this side has extra tiles in it to make up the difference, as opposed to the rest of the car, which only has 2. So keep that in mind also, because you're going to want level ground to get its most accurate readings as possible. Okay, so I forgot to mention earlier, the reason you want to put it on greased plates is so you can actually make your adjustments, because when you go in and start adjusting these rods, you don't want to be fighting the tire contact to the cement or the blocks that you put it on to get it up in the air so you can actually get under it. So with the addition of these plates here, you know, A, you can use them as shims to level your car like I was talking about, and B, it makes it a lot easier for the tire to slip when you're making your adjustments, so you don't have to make your adjustments, roll it back and forth, or pick it up and down. It leaves it all straight under its own weight, so every adjustment is pretty much solid once you tighten it down. When it comes back down, nothing's gonna move on you. Okay, so the next thing I went ahead and did is put some electrical conduit on 2 jack stands on the front and in the rear. And you'll see why I'm doing this here in a moment. I'm going to run some strings on either side of the car. So I'll show you that here in a second, and how that gets set up. Here it is set up. I have a string that runs parallel on either side, and what you want to do is run your string on either side of the car and adjust your jack stands so the string runs right down the center of the hub, front and rear. It's important because your next step is going to be finding your longest track width, which mine is the front because you can see the gap here between the string is much smaller than in the rear, which means my front track width is wider than the rear. So the easiest way to do this is I cut 2 of these at the exact same dimension, and I've done this before, so I already know how close I want to be to the front to get measurements. But I'll run the tape measure, see if I can do this. So this one's set at 6. This one's set at 6. This one's set at 6. And so is that other corner. And the reason you want to do that is if both of these are the same length and you go in 6 inches from each end, that means you're going to have 2 parallel lines after you split the difference off of your hubs. So once you have this marked out, the string ran, and you're in the center of your hubs, what you're going to want to do is go to each side of the car and measure from the center. Don't go like this or like this. And if you have dented stub covers like that, like I do, axle hub or spindle hub covers like this in the front, measure from something flat. Like I know the spacer is flat, so I'll take the center of that spacer and measure. So this is 5 9/16. So you'll mirror that on this side. 5 9/16, if you guys can see that. And the rear is going to be different because remember, it's not as wide as the front. So you're going to have a greater distance back here on each side. It's kind of dark over here. So this one is about right at 7 inches. And so is this side, about right at 7 inches. So what that gives you is 2 parallel lines down the center of the car, or on each side of the car. And it might take you a little while to set this up at first, but once you get it, just either write this measurement down as well as your hub centers to here, front and rear. That way it makes it much easier to reset up. Or you can cut a little notch in these so you don't forget. It doesn't really matter if this is skewed slightly, because what really matters is this point and that point. So as long as you have these set to the same all the way around, you have this set, this measurement here for the same left and right for the front, and the same left and right for the rear, you'll have 2 parallel lines. So I'll show you now how to get measurements. So my rear toe, this is 2 7/16. 2 7/16. So this is 0 toe, which is what I've been running. But I want to run a little toe in. So what I'll do is, when I adjust it, the wheel will kick like this to give me toe in. Right, this measurement will actually be greater than this measurement because this is going to come closer to the string. This is going to get further away, making the wheel go like that. So you can kind of see in the front I'm running slight toe out. So this is at 1.25 inches, and this is at about 3/16. So what that means is this is closer to the string than this. This is actually 1 5/16. This is 1 3/16. So about an 1/8 inch difference, so 1/4 inch overall of toe out. Not really going to get into all the specifics of making the adjustments, but I just didn't want to leave you guys hanging, showing you how to do an alignment and not show you how to set it up. So I'll be shooting a DIY with a full-on how to adjust it, how to set it, and how to set camber and caster and things like that, because that requires a digital camber gauge. But for what most people are going to be doing at home, usually this is what happens when you get knuckles or tie rods and you want to reset your toe and stuff like that. This is a very simple way to do this at home without having to go to the alignment shop and spend $70 every time. So there are products that you can buy that attach to your bumper like this, so you can do this at the track, but these are like a few bucks at Home Depot. Almost everybody has jack stands laying around, so you can essentially make this for, you know, 20-30 bucks. This is just thread here, sewing thread, versus about 400 or 500 for the 2 bars that attach to your bumper. So it's a pretty good alternative. If you guys have any questions or anything, hit me in the comments below. Again, I will try to do a full-on how-to video for camber, caster, and all that, as well as, you know, setting this rig up again. So subscribe and catch that in the future. Okay, so here's a quick little diagram of pretty much those measurements that we just took. So for toe out in the front, you're going to want smaller measurement in the front, larger measurement in the rear. And that's what I have on my car. I run like a 1/4 inch overall, so it's about an 1/8 inch difference each side. The rear I had set close to 0, so the measurements are the same, the front of the rim, back of the rim. But this is just to kind of show you how to keep notes to set it up next time. So from the edge of the conduit to where the string is set was 6 inches on all 4 sides, and then from the string to the hub is 7 in the rear on each side, and it's 5 9/16 in the front from the center of the hub to the string. So that's just for my car. Yours might be different if you have spacers or something like that, but this is how I get mine set up perfectly parallel on each side to get these measurements. So I'll try to do another video more detailed as far as how to set all these and what's best for drifting and things like that. And then also, if you guys want to get a little more precise, instead of a tape measure, I do use this, which is in millimeters. So that's something you can get from like Harbor Freight or Amazon for pretty cheap. Get more accurate measurements versus off of a tape measure. Another thing to think about is if you have curved up rims, which this side's not that bad, but like for instance, this one's not that bad either, but like a wheel like this, where that lip is dented in, that could affect your measurements. So you're going to want to measure from a flat surface that you have a reference point on all 4 wheels. These are new. I usually put these on the rear to align it, just because they're perfectly flat everywhere. There's no curves or anything, so it makes it really easy for me to get solid measurements. I'm not going to be using this today, but I thought I'd show you guys real quick. This is what I'm going to be doing in my next video on the how-to DIY alignment. So this is a digital camber gauge. It actually attaches to your rim. This flips out to 3 points, attaches to the wheel, and then you can do caster, camber. It's pretty great, so I'll be showing you guys how that works too. And one other thing, when you're doing this, you're gonna have to be getting around your car to do adjustments underneath. Just try not to bump your jack stands or your strings, because then you're gonna have to reset everything, and that gets frustrating very quickly. Just adjusted the rear, and now I'm sitting at around 2 5/16, and 2 and 7 up front, and I've got about an 1/8 inch in, so that's about a quarter overall, because 1/8 here, 1/8 on the other side, 1/4 inch overall. So I'm going to see how that runs on my next time out, and just keep notes on how the car is handling, and just keep downloading it in. Alright, that's it for today. Got the wheels off. I'm going to be switching these two, new ones going on those. Again, if this leaves you wanting more on as far as how to do a home alignment, I apologize. I'll definitely be working on uploading another one that's a little more in-depth, more of a DIY with everything, including caster and camber and all that. But yeah, that'll be coming in the future. I got an event coming up on Sunday. I'll be doing as much video as I can of that, but until then, I'll see you guys on the next one.